Important notice: the following content may be triggering. Viewer discretion is advised. All discussions are based on personal opinions and experiences. If you or someone you know needs help, please reach out to a local support organization. Important notice.
Well, welcome everybody to another episode of Through the Eyes of Survivors. We are here holding this space for real stories and real strength, the voices that often go unheard. So I'm your host, Tara Woodlee, and today's episode is one that cuts very deep, but it's one that we definitely must talk about: abuse during pregnancy. And while pregnancy is often seen as a time of joy and new beginnings, for many survivors, it becomes the greatest time of fear and isolation. You have a heightened risk during that time. So abuse does not stop when life begins, right? In many cases, it escalates. Joining me today is someone whose story and advocacy continues to impact lives across the country. Miss Amanda, I know you see her all the time from our Uncensored podcast, but today I thought I'd have her come in and we can talk about this particular topic. But before we get started, I need to plug a couple of affiliates. So please, I'm going to take a moment to talk to you about something that can really empower you in your journey towards safety and healing. It's called TruthFinder. It's a simple tool that helps you uncover public records and background information about people you may encounter in your life. Whether you're reconnecting with someone from your past or just want to ensure the people around you are trustworthy, TruthFinder provides you with the information you need to make informed decisions. Here at Through the Eyes of Survivors, we're all about creating safe spaces and giving survivors the tool they need to reclaim their power. That's why we're excited to share TruthFinder with you. It's a tool that helps you take control of your own security and peace of mind. Try it out. Support our podcast. Visit the link that we have below. And thank you for supporting our mission in that way. Also, again, we're thrilled to be partnered with Opus Clip. So Opus Clip is an AI-driven platform helping us to turn the powerful podcasts like these into short, impactful clips. From survivor stories to hard truths, Opus Clip helps us amplify our voice and spread awareness across the different platforms. So if you want to turn your content into scroll stopping reels and shorts, try Opus Clip. That link will be provided in the descriptions and comments as well. So, again, thank you, Amanda, for actually coming in and talking to us and sharing parts of your story with this topic today.
Absolutely. Always. Always.
So, oh, this is an awareness month coming up in July on domestic violence and pregnancy. And there are so many alarming statistics. We can talk about statistics, but we're also going to share personal aspects that we've experienced and seen so many other survivors telling their stories. But 1 in 6 abused women report abuse for the first time during their pregnancy. And pregnant women are more likely to be victims of homicide and to die from pregnancy than and die. Um, it's higher than pregnancy related complications. And so in a 2021 study, they found homicide was the leading cause of death among pregnant women and postpartum women in the USA. So, Amanda, I know that you and I have definitely some experiences in this. Would you share part of your story with the listeners?
Yes, absolutely. So I was abused through two of my pregnancies with my abuser. I have three children with him. It started with my eldest, obviously. At this time, my situation was a little bit complicated. I was homeless when I got pregnant, living in a really not good side of Baltimore with my ex in a hotel. And during this time, um, I was really kind of upset because I was not able to provide, but I started seeing parts of him that were just not stable. Um, and he was not able to hold a job when I was down there, and I had to move back with my friend um, because he had to move back in with his parents. And at that time, they were like, "You both are not moving in," so it's um, either one or the other. Actually, when I got back to my hometown of Pittsburgh to live with my best friend was when I found out I was pregnant. So I did get pregnant when I was homeless, but I didn't find out until I moved back home. I thought I had mono. I had mono twice prior to this incident, and I thought it was
Right.
mono. And it was just the same symptoms like pain in the lower abdomen, just really tired, like couldn't get, just weird. And my best friend took me to the ER, and this was the oddest thing, but they were actually able to detect that I was 2 weeks pregnant, which was really, really odd. But I didn't even miss a period, but they were able to tell I was pregnant. And at this time, I was still homeless, living with a friend. And my homelessness was actually due to his actions. That's a whole other podcast, but I was kicked out from my parents' house because of something that he has done. He did.
Right.
So during that time, I was living with my friend, and I knew I couldn't live with her very long because she was living with her parents. And I called him and said, "Hey, we are pregnant." Um, he still was living with his parents. He still did not have his life together. And he said, "Well, I have a best friend. Him and his fiance have a apartment. They would love to bring you in." They said, "I can't move in, but they will bring you in, and I will work to provide to get us somewhere down there." I moved in there down there, and within months, it all started falling apart. He was cheating on me with past ex girlfriends. Um, that Thanksgiving, I found on a Facebook page, um, he was talking to an ex girlfriend, and they were talking about meeting up, and I lost it. I was first away from my family, sitting in an apartment alone on Thanksgiving with no one, and I discovered this message, and I'm 3 months pregnant. And I'm scared because I have no one. And I confronted him. I called him. He was working at the time, and he was a tow truck driver. And at that time, he drove his tow truck back to the apartment. flipped out, attacked me, started punching the side of my stomach and going after me. I did scratch up his face because I was trying to get him off of me. And he told me before he walked out, go back to very kind of not nice word, to Pittsburgh, get an abortion. During that time, I was calling my friends and my family, trying to get them to help me. And they all were kind of like, you chose this, you burnt your bridges. We're not coming. This is Thanksgiving. Please don't call back.
Oh, wow.
I called an ex-boyfriend at the time, and he was still very jilted. I was like, you picked this. Don't call back. So I was waiting for the friend's fiance to come home, and I was going to talk to her. He took care of getting to them first. Because of the fact that his face was all scratched up from me, it was turned on to me, and I was threatened that if they ever saw anything like him, that, again, they would call the cops on me. I lost trust.
Right.
That's basically, I just backed down. So I stayed for a couple more months, and after that, his friend that I was living with tried to do something inappropriate with me and threatened that if I did not comply, that I would be homeless again. So I got on to Google, looked up pregnancy shelters in Pittsburgh, and left the next day. I asked my dad to come pick me up. I wasn't going to have two men threaten me. So I moved into a pregnancy shelter enough time for him to get an apartment for us. And the abuse just started again. It was verbal more in my later months of pregnancy because I was high risk. Because she had a 3 umbilical cord, which was different. It was something about the nutrients. And so I had to have like weekly checkups. So I noticed he stopped touching me around that time. And I think it was because he knew I had consistent care, because I was at the hospital twice a week for an ultrasound, and then also for like them to do the stress test. So he stopped. With my second child in pregnancy, I actually got a PFA. That was how bad the abuse was. I was sitting there eating a peanut butter jelly sandwich, and he was going off in a rage, and he smashed my face into it and pulled me down to the ground by my hair and was telling me to eat my food off the ground. I had to go to an OBGYN appointment within 2 hours and wash that out of my hair. And no one recognized. And it just kept building. And I finally, a week later, after another incident, got a PFA. I dropped it. I was scared. The police threatened me because he came back before the PFA was dropped. And I let him in. And he was arrested. But they told me that they could take me to jail too, and that there's women out there that really need help. And I'm just a horrible person. I ended up calling the women's shelter in my local area and asked to speak to an advocate, because they had advocates for domestic violence working in that shelter.
Yeah.
And she was mortified and was able to ground me. And she actually showed up at the final PFA and when it was dropped, because I didn't want to do anything with it anymore. But she told the police officer as he was walking out, she chased him to the parking garage and told him, you had the right to tell her what was going on with this case, and you never spoke to her like a person. And you treated her like she was, and he felt bad, but it was there was my distrust. And I did stay in a women's shelter for a while during that pregnancy as well. But I kept going back because everything, and it seems so weird, but it would seem more secure and stable with him than trying to get out and get help at that time.
Right. Well, and we're told that so many times, we're told even in our own churches, let alone with our own families, that it's better to children have both parents and that you should stay. And so society has condoned that for a long time now.
Absolutely. And it was very hard because that was what my line of thinking was, is I would never wanted to have a broken family. I ever had a child with him, and a second child. at this time as well, right before I gave birth and I came back, he started cheating on me again, but he was cheating on me with an exotic dancer. She was just, I mean, buying him new things, sending him food to work because he was a manager at a parts store. I mean, it was, I would come home and he's like, Ari, she bought me out. And I mean, he was open about it.
Right.
He was open. Like, he would be like, oh, she bought me Outback. And I remember, like, the night before I gave birth, I had an induction, so it was planned because she was late. And the girl friend commits suicide the night before mine.
Oh, wow. Wow, that's a lot going on in the background, isn't it, while you're trying to have a child?
Yes. So he spent that whole night trying to talk her down. And then it really was weird just to go next day and do something so vulnerable with a person that was doing that night prior. Like, it was so, and now to even think back on it now and the person that I am, and when you get out of abuse and your frame of thinking starts to making sense because you're no longer in that fight or flight mode and your brain starts to start working correctly again, you kind of are like, what? You know, like,
I know a lot of people watching are going to want to know, like, how old were you when this started?
I met him when I was 21. I had Layla at 22. Mm-hmm. I had Lily, my middle daughter, at 24. And then I had my youngest son at 25, 26.
Right.
So I was pregnant back to back. There was no really room in my pregnancies. My mom and my sister, who's a nurse, had to sit down with me and be like, hey, have you ever thought about getting your tubes tied? Because they could see in the background what was progressing. And if he could make his bills and wasn't job hopping and he was getting us evicted and he was just not a stable person. And I honestly was like, yeah, after we had my son, I had my tubes tied, and that I paid for that. I was not taken care of during that time. He always said that he wanted one more child. That was, there was just so much. And I feel, again, that was just so much control with that. Because after you have a tubal litigation, that is a major surgery. Like, you're not allowed to lift. And I had like a baby and 2 toddlers. And he was just like, I don't care if you bleed to death. I don't care if you're sick. You chose this. I didn't.
Yeah. Yeah. I think just for the dynamics of letting people know, because so many other survivors have been through this. So, number one, the thing I want the public to know is, with abuse of this nature, number one, they want you pregnant. It seems like they don't because of their actions during pregnancy, but actually they go out of their ways 9 times out of 10 to get you pregnant. Be sure you're pregnant. It is an ultimate form of control, because not only can they control you now, but then they have this child who's genetically bonded to them that they can control you through. Because nobody wants a broken family. Nobody wants their children to not have a dad. And so they use this as a weapon. It's a very crafted, careful weapon that is used a lot. And so people are going to say out there, Amanda, well, why did you put up with this? So I know after all the years of thinking about it, there are reasons. So let's have a little insight into what you were thinking, just so that other people out there who've experienced this feel like they're normal. Because a lot of time people think you're crazy. Why'd you stay and have more kids?
Right. Well, absolutely. So, number one, I was in love with him. I loved him. I did. I loved him. I didn't always have a bad person. He was a Dr. Jekyll Hyde, where he was not always abusive. He was my best friend in moments of my life. I know that's weird to people, and I know people don't understand, but there is. And that was the part I wasn't letting go. So I did get very pregnant early on to knowing him with my first. So that was something that but to keep going, that's where I understand where people are like, yeah, you kept having kids when it was not. But again, I didn't have a say-so even in our sexual relationship. I didn't have a say-so in anything that we did. I felt that I had to please him. And, if that meant not, and doing certain things. And he did jump in because after I did have my first daughter, I did go on birth control. I got sick. I was bleeding so much that I got an implant, the Mirena, I believe it's Mirena. I had a really bad reaction to it, and I was bleeding, and I had to get it removed. And in that time of it being removed, I got pregnant. I got pregnant.
Yeah.
And then we were in a really kind of different spot in our relationship when I did get pregnant with my son. My son was actually planned, and I know that will blow people's mind. But I know there's other women out there too that are going to say that because you have moments in your abuse where it's not horrible, and you do have moments where you love that person and it's a good part and you're living your life normally. He was not always a bad father. He was not always a bad man. It was very confusing to me, but I also had a lack of family support.
Mm-hmm.
I did not drive, so it wasn't easy for me to just pick up and go.
So you're very dependent upon.
I was dependent. I was even working. I was a stay-at-home mom. So, and I did leave, and I had really bad experiences in my shelter when I did. I did the PFA. I tried, at least I touched everything that I could to try, but I could never stay away very long.
Well, and in your story, you couldn't even defend yourself without other people coming back going, you.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, absolutely. I feel that there's so much of a stigma where people just want to be like, well, why aren't you leaving? We're looking at you. Like, he's bad, but why aren't you? And again, there's so many emotions mixed into it. First off, there's parts of your brain that's no longer working. Mm-hmm. You're in fight or flight mode. And all you know is what they've told you all these years. And you truly don't believe that you could be with anybody else that would want to take care of 3 kids that are not theirs. And a woman, that's what he ingrained in my head every day was, who is going to want a woman that has 3 kids and doesn't have this and doesn't have that? And he would go, this man, and he admitted it. He said, I will take the most ignorant thing I know about a person and I will harass them. So he knew so much about me because of all the years we were together that he would take my insecurities and perfectly blend it to make me stay. And he's even admitted that he would do that because he was afraid I was going to leave him.
Right.
And so it's very hard to kind of be okay with that. But when you're pregnant, you're so vulnerable. The emotions and your hormones are just, they're so mixed up. And
when you're young too.
Oh, and to be pregnant and to be cheated on. That is that to me. I even confronted one of the girls and she said to me, no, he said that you sleep around, you're lying. And I was just like, I'm gonna go to jail. My poor father was like, give me the phone, because he was like, yeah, we're not doing this today, because I was at my parents' house. There was just so many things, but also during my pregnancies, he became my hero in certain moments. When I was pregnant with my daughter, they gave me a shot of morphine, and I am allergic to morphine. I had a really bad reaction, and he was like my superhero, and I was pregnant. So like they will go 2 different sides, and that is very, very confusing. Very confusing. I know that it seems, and I'm not saying that this isn't for some people that live in a reality where that person is consistently mean. I'm not discarding that, but in my case, it wasn't always mean. And that was very confusing when you're having children and raising them and you don't have someone else saying, hey, we want to support you, we're sorry you're going through this. It's more like, what are you doing? What are you doing to make this better? Well, we don't see you making this better. So, and you're going, well, I guess I just don't deserve it. And I honestly, Tara, got to a point where I thought I deserved to be beaten. I deserved to
Mm-hmm.
not be helped. And it was even horrible because of the children. My first daughter was colic, and I know that was 100% from the stress of the pregnancy. I mean, honestly, like people didn't believe me when I said my newborn slept through the night. Well, she did, because she screamed all day. She didn't nap, and she couldn't be put down from me. She was very attached to me. My mom couldn't hold her. Her dad couldn't hold her. And that was, again, because I fulfilled the stress of the pregnancy really, damaged her as well. Um, and it's hard. It's hard because, again, that's such a vulnerable time. And, but the one pregnancy he did not beat me in was our son's. And that was odd. So there is women control of their actions and what they do. He never hit me once. And our son was banned. And that is where that was also infuriating for me, because I'm very grateful that he didn't. But I wasn't happy that he chose that for my daughters and me at that time in those pregnancies.
Right. Well, I'm sure during that time too, you were thinking then, well, he's progressing, he's getting better because he didn't hit me during that
Yeah,
pregnancy,
yeah,
right?
absolutely. And again, he was always so over the moon about all of the pregnancies when I was first pregnant, but that was more of like for show. That was show. Look who's mine. Look what I did. Not
More
like
like I got her now,
like
kind
let her
of.
know. Look what I told
Yeah.
her.
Yeah.
Um, so it was just a really, really, really weird time. And again, like, I don't blame the people in the background of the things that was happening.
Hmm.
I think John was a very good manipulator. Um,
No, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, we're going to take a little break here. And when we come back, we'll talk about some of my story, my personal one, and the story with my daughter. We'll flip the
She left with nothing but a backpack, her child, and a deep desire to rewrite her story. Starting over isn't easy, but for survivors of domestic violence going back to school, it's everything. It's healing. It's freedom. It's power, but most of all, it's hope. That's why we created the Run For Her Scholarship Program, to help survivors rise and to honor the women and children who never got that chance. Each step you take this July helps fund education for survivors, turning pain into purpose, and every dollar raised carries the name of someone we've lost. Her name won't be forgotten. Her life will lift another woman toward her future. Lace up, fundraise, change a life, run for her so she can run toward tomorrow. The Run For Her Challenge, scholarships, survivors, stories that live on.
All right, and we're back. So please join the Run For Her. Part of the topic we're talking about today definitely leads into that. So you can run, walk. I know people who are rowing, just any kind of exercise, participate, register. When you register, you're going to get a free gift. Our partnership with Fight Camp has provided us with some of their um, wrist wraps and monitors, and you get a 45-day free membership. If you don't know what Fight Camp is, think of it as the Peloton of boxing and kickboxing. And that 45-day free trial is a wonderful gift. So when you register, you'll receive in an email how you can get that free gift. And be sure to check out our Run For Her website. It's run, the number 4, her challenge.com. And so you can find out more details, register there, even get your gear ahead of time to run with. We got a special going on over there. And all of this helps support our programs, like it said, scholarships and different programs. So we're back, and I'm going to throw out a few more statistics for everybody. It's that, intimate partner violence during pregnancy affects up to 20% of pregnancies globally. Women abused during pregnancy are higher risk for miscarriage, low birth weight, stillbirth, depression, PTSD, and poor health. So there's also things that go on with the infants, poor infant bonding, long-term trauma for the child, colic, various things as well that happen during that time. So we're going to flip the script just a little bit here and let Miss Amanda I'll tell parts of what I have, and Miss Amanda can ask me some leading questions for y'all that she thinks that people might want to hear. But I would tell you, I have a personal experience personally myself as well during my abuse. So um, it was actually the first abusive incident I had with my husband. We had been married. He had not put physical hands on me. And we had been married, a year. And uh, we when we first got married, he didn't have anything either. We had to live with his parents until my first daughter was born, Rachel. And I finally, after Rachel was born, had said, "Hey, we need a place of our own." No newlyweds want to be living with someone's parents. So we got our own apartment. And I remember real clear it was Thanksgiving Day, because we had come back from my family celebrating Thanksgiving. And um, we got into an argument, and Rachel was in her crib in her room. Um, I put her down sleep, and we got into this argument. I can't even remember what the argument was about. And I'm going to say he wasn't abusive before that, but it wasn't physical. It was mostly verbal at that time. A lot of, little things that were kind of adding up. But I was married and had a child, so I thought I had to deal with it, right? And we were arguing, and to the point that it woke Rachel up and she started crying. So I got up to go get her. And when I did, as I was almost to the hallway, a knife came flying past my head right in front of my face and stuck in the wall. And I was in just total shock. I couldn't even believe he threw that at me. And I, it's right there in front of my face. And I'm like, what in the heck just happened? And in that amount of time, he was able to run past me and get into her room before I could. And he was yelling and screaming about how he was so sorry he did that. He lost control. He just wanted to die. And then started talking crazy as he's picking her up that he's going to kill himself. And that she didn't need to live in this terrible world either. So I thought he's going to kill her and him. And so he picked her up, and I started beating him on the back to put her down. And at that time, I had just found out I was pregnant. I hadn't gone to the doctor yet. I'd taken a home pregnancy test, and I was probably about 5-6 weeks along. And he elbowed me from behind into my stomach and put Rachel down in the crib. And he turned around and he shoved me. And I got back up, and he hit me in the stomach again. And I just sat there for a while, in pain and crying. And I was just totally not believing what was going on. And he went and shut himself in the bathroom crying and doing this whole bit, which ended up being very common in our 13 years of marriage from that point on. Of any time he did anything like that where he lost control, he wanted to commit suicide. We went on and on with that. And then so I didn't even have time to process what was going on, because I'm trying to talk his butt down.
Right. Like you're not able to process your own.
It's totally focused on him, not what happened to me.
Right.
And I had started spotting that night, and he went to work, and I went to the hospital, and I ended up miscarrying that baby. And it was really heartbreaking because over the course of the years, even though I had to have a mini DNC and they sent me home that same day, he would throw up in my face things like, I don't, how do we even know you were really pregnant? I don't know you were really pregnant. I wasn't there at the hospital with you, because he wouldn't come. He was at work. He wouldn't leave work. So he constantly left me in that state all the time of using like the you can't prove you were pregnant. What? We paid a hospital bill for it. Medicaid actually paid for it because we didn't have a pot. You know what in.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And it it definitely, that was my first experience. And the experiences were so, with me, spread out over the years, as far as physical ones, the emotional ones, the cheating, like you said, that kind of stuff was a constant. And I too felt like I deserved it at first. I felt like there was something wrong with me. I didn't want my children to grow up alone without a father.
Right.
And it was just heartbreaking, but over the years stuff escalated to a point to where I felt trapped, like if I did leave, who would protect these children from him? If he had an episode where he just lost it and went off, who would be there to protect them? Because there was a lot of incidents where he would lose it and start to go after them, and then I would step in the middle, and I was the one who took the brunt of everything. He didn't put his hands on them during that time. So instead I would divert him to put his hands on me.
Yeah. And I've done that. Yeah. I think that's a very normal mom response.
Yeah. So yeah, it was painful. It's still painful to think that that child should be here. And he can't even acknowledge if it was even real. Like, he justifies that in his head somewhere, but he doesn't. It's just a way to control me over the years. When he did that, that was a move for power and control over me.
Right.
Absolutely. And so, but it was a little different with my daughter's case, which most people know. If you don't know, if you haven't heard, my daughter's story later on, my youngest daughter, Ashley, was in an abusive relationship, and he, he purposely took away her birth control and got her pregnant. And he was a habitual offender on that one. He had multiple girls he had done that to, and ex-wives that he had done that to. So actually wasn't his first. This wasn't a unique thing for him to do. It was very, very telling for me. I immediately recognized it for what was, that he was trying to get control over her in a way that he couldn't control her before. And that was through a child. But for her, abuse turned deadly. We were able to survive, Amanda, which is great. And anybody out there listening, if you experienced it, I'm glad you survived. But I will tell you, if you are pregnant, if you are in an abusive relationship, please, please, please don't endure this. Get out, because the abuse my daughter suffered at the hands of that man while she was pregnant was unreal. And people are not kind. I've recently been through a lot of her old documents and stuff, and there were multiple people harassing her while she was pregnant for him. hunting her down for him. He was constantly the messages, the gaslighting was just to all the family and friends who sent it to me. You know, I was rereading through that the other day, and he was just constantly like, I love my babies. I deserve to know what they are. Please tell Ashley to contact me and call me. I'm so concerned for those babies. I just love them so much. But he hit her and told her he would, and kicked her in the stomach and told her she was not going to leave with his baby. But yet he was putting out a whole scenario gaslighting. Ashley didn't even want those babies. I'm the one who wants those babies. I love her so much. Please tell her to contact me. I'll tell you something. You get somebody involved like that after you, do not help them. Do not respond. Do
No,
not get in the middle.
no,
I mean, just totally. Ashley's lying about this and this, telling family members, Ashley's lying about you. Ashley said this about you. And it was all lies. It was all to isolate her from her friends and family. And there was moments it did work with certain people, but it didn't work with her family, I'll tell you that. My sisters and her uncles, my family did hold together as a unified front against him on that matter. And so many people don't even have that.
no.
No. It was it was traumatic, not just for her, but for everybody around her, to help keep her protected and keep her safe. And even she was so sick that we didn't know if she would keep that baby. She was so sick. We were constantly at the doctor. It, it was just awful. It was just awful, the things she endured. No one should have to endure that.
No,
Pregnancy should be a happy time. It really should.
no, it should. It should be one of the most. And I think as women, and I know I did, you think about your wedding and you play with your dolls and you think about being a mom, and that's just such a big thing. That's such a monument for us. That's who part of us are if we choose that. And when someone comes in and takes over your body in a way of creating a child, but also harm,
Mhm.
that's a whole other way
Mhm.
of just destroying someone. That's something that you can't reverse. It's something you can't take away. And
Mhm.
I found,
No, it was something. It was something. He literally had convictions for abuse. He literally had open warrants from other women, and people would come up on social media, and he would tell people all over the place, "Oh, she's lying." And my family would post up the actual links to his records.
so they basically were like, here,
Here, here you
you're
go.
lying. Yeah. Oh
And
my,
and the other thing he loved to use was, one of the things he did was, of course, that he had been in a fight when he was younger and got hit in the head, and he had to have a plate. He had some brain damage to where he had a seizure disorder, so he would constantly use that against her and say, "Oh, I had seizures. I don't remember what I did. I don't remember what I had done. I would not hurt you on purpose." And he would go to the hospital, and the hospital, I mean, I was there one time. The hospital was like, "He can't drink anymore. He's having seizures and he needs to be on the seizure medication and he can't drink." And it was so weird because I was, like I said, going back through those
mhm.
messages. And one of the things I had forgotten that happened was that I knew he was using the seizures against her, but he was messaging people saying he was dying. His liver and kidneys were failing because he accidentally drank some chloroform, and it was going to kill him. And he was getting documents to do a will for her and that baby, to take care of them, and he needed to talk to her because he was going to die of liver failure soon. And I was
Whoa,
like,
my
"You're
God.
such a sick
That is such a sick individual.
How do you accidentally drink chloroform?
Well, that's what I was thinking too. I'm like, how do you accidentally, or was that like more of a like, I'm attempting to myself and I'm
Yes.
going to make you feel bad for this. And I want her to get this big attraction to know she has to come back to me because there is a deadly thing going on in my body right now.
And he didn't turn around the next sentence and said, "Oh, I would never hurt her and the babies." Because he thought she was pregnant with twins for some reason, which nobody said that.
I was going to say, there was a lot of
It's like some delusion in his head. I don't know. And I was like,
I'm like, that's a lot of
I would never hurt them. But in the background, he had an ex-wife with 2 children who was getting his parental rights totally removed because he had hurt his other children. So the gaslighting is powerful.
It is.
They will use everything in their arsenal against you, especially when you're vulnerable and pregnant.
Oh, absolutely. Tara, I do have a question though about your story. I'm kind of like, you said it was a year, right? When with your before he even touched you. And I know that like for a lot of survivors, if you don't mind me asking for the viewers, how long were you together before you got married? Because that might help us get an idea.
Not long.
Okay.
Yeah, he was actually the rebound guy from the sweetheart I had in high school that I thought I was going to marry, right?
Right.
And I didn't intend to really stay with him. I was just kind of dating for fun at the time, and I was 19, and
Absolutely.
and then just as I was breaking up with him, we actually had broke up for a little bit. I found out I was pregnant. And so we got back together because of that. And that's how that kind of all went down. I was definitely young and dumb, but I thought I did one of those, he has potential, I can work with it kind of thing, and I think I just wasn't able to see the real him at all until we moved out from his parents' house. He was on his best behavior while we were at his parents. So I think he was able to let it all hang out once
you were able to. Did it really like surprise you when that incident happened though? Did it throw you back? Was it like,
oh yeah, I had never had
anything like that? Like even
who
like
expects a knife to come flying?
No, right. I was just, and that was where I like was listening to your story. I was like, I couldn't imagine being with someone for a year, having his child already, and then being pregnant, and then this, because to me, I mean, obviously it was horrible for me being pregnant at the beginning and with our first child and finding this out, but to be already married and there's already a child and there's another, that had to be like, oh, whoa, what just happened?
Mm-hmm. And see, there wasn't any physical abuse during my pregnancies, but with Ashley, he didn't do it with Rachel, but with Ashley, he did a constant, is that even really my child? And it wasn't just him, his mother would do that as well. Because Ashley came out blonde hair and blue eyed. I am dark hair and I have like the brown, green, hazel eyes, and so did my ex. And Ashley came out very blonde with blue-gray eyes. But here's the thing. His brother was blonde with blue-gray eyes, and so is his dad.
Right.
And there's his mom going, are you sure that's even really his kid? Excuse me? He's the one cheating, not me.
Absolutely. I had to do that. I actually had to show him. He lied so much to his family that he actually lied to his parents about a girl having his child. That was not his child. Obviously, he knew that was not his child, but they lied about it, him and that girl. So his parents did not believe me when I told him I was pregnant. I had to show them papers. Like I literally had to walk around with my pregnancy, like medical papers to show. That's how bad of a lie. And it was horrible because at that time you should be celebrating and having people happy for you. Not, I mean, even with his sister, I had to do it. I was like,
well, their family, a lot of times, their family is enabling them in the background with all
absolutely.
Yeah.
Because they're like, well, we had girls do this before. And I'm like, well, I didn't. I'm not lying.
Yeah, well, what did you do to set him off? You had to do something, just like Josh's mom sat there and looked me in Ashley's face and said, "Well, if your daughter wasn't so mouthy, she
I
wouldn't get
am.
slapped."
I'm mouthy. I've always been mouthy. I used to get grounded. My mother will tell you for back talk for weeks. I would not watch TV because I so obviously that carried into my, and when you're being abused, that the parts of you that are not the best will get triggered, and you will be. And I mean, even his mother told me, she was like, "Well, you're not very nice sometimes either." And I heard the way you talk to my son, and you talk to him more like he's your little brother than a spouse. And I said, well, if he wouldn't act like my little brother, then I would talk to him like my spouse. It was so triggered by that conversation because I was like,
it's a vicious cycle, isn't it?
It was horrible. And he did the same. He did it at the doctor's office. You know how they can measure like how far along you're pregnant to the weeks you're at. And he was like on that doctor, and the doctor was picking up on it. Like, you better, like, what week was that? When was, like, this better match up, Amanda. This better match up to me, because we were living long distance for a minute. So he was acting like and I'm like, dude, you're not the person I would want to drag this out with. And I just remember being so embarrassed in front of my OBGYN doctor, because he was like looking at the chart and like, you better get in there. That better be in the time frame, Amanda. And I was just like,
oh yeah. Ashley was such a high risk pregnancy that the last 3 months I was ordered to bed, and only to get up to like potty and stuff. But I had a toddler, and my ex was not going to tolerate that. He expected me to get up and clean and cook and take care of that baby. And it didn't matter that pregnancy was at risk.
Nope.
Did not matter.
Nope.
His needs came first.
I mean, I don't even know if you even, I would be called fat.
Mm-hmm.
I was unattractive, and he wouldn't want to take me places because I looked more fat than I looked pregnant, he told me. He would make fun, like, and again, like, he would say, oh, you look like a penguin because of the way you're walking. And again, that would be cute if someone was saying it in a cute demeanor and didn't say, hey, you look fat and you look disgusting, but he would be like making fun of me the way I was walking, not in like a endearing way. Like, oh, look how cute you're, like, well, I'm like a little penguin, you know. It was like, you look like a penguin. You look ridiculous. Here you go again. Are you out of breath? And I'm like, like, I'm just standing there like, sorry for carrying your child for all these months. I'm so sorry that's unattractive to you. I can't control how my body's reacting.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't understand why they think it's okay to stress you out during that time when your body's at the most physical stress it's ever going to be. Because it's changing and it's developing, and the baby's developing and growing. And it's pretty insidious that, in my opinion, the statistics are this high. So it's just pretty incredible. So before we close out, let's talk a little bit about the signs of abuse during pregnancy, in case somebody out there is worried about whether or not someone they love who's pregnant is being abused. Amanda?
Yes. So the one thing that I could say was a big red flag is that my ex would not let me do our baby list for our baby shower. So if you see that their spouse is being overly controlling of things that the mother should be enjoying, and you know, that's a huge red flag. That's a huge
and they make the baby shower all about them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He literally verbally tore me apart because he went and started scanning everything in baby toys for us. And when that happened, it was just stuff that we didn't need. And I don't want to ask my family and friends to buy. And I went and changed it with my sisters, and that was a week-long fight. Even for OBGYNs, for when people come if they're missing frequent appointments and they're saying, well, I can't come unless my spouse can be there, that's a flag. That's a red flag. And I understand there's circumstances where your husband does want to be there, and that's wonderful if he has the job to do it. Or, you know, or if you can't drive yourself and they have to bring you. But if they're capable and they sound like, no, I can't do that, I have to cancel, or they keep canceling appointments, they're not making things, there should be red flags in that.
Right.
Absolutely. Even women who are just not showing up to events anymore. A woman who's pregnant is going to be very much wanting to share that. If
Right.
she's isolating herself, that's a big, 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 big red flag.
Right. Well, and frequent unexplained injuries or bruises.
Yes.
Um, it can go two different ways as well. Either the partner will miss, appointments and not be there, or they insist on being at every medical visit, one or the other. And usually, if it's missed, they're having you as a that pregnant person miss them with them. Usually, if
Absolutely.
it's missed, they're both missing.
You're not going
But
anywhere.
if they're going to make it, they're both there, and they insist on being
Mhm.
there. So
Absolutely. And if they're in the room, if you see that the spouse is talking over the pregnant woman, he's taking more of control of the medical decisions, she's not, that's a big red flag too, for even medical professions to look for. It's She's carrying the
yeah, if they're
baby.
hesitant about answering certain questions, if you think they
Yes.
look fearful about that, about even just how's your pregnancy going, you see that fear or hesitation,
Yes.
you might want to talk to your friend,
Even
one
if she
on
keeps
one.
making eye con, just tells you, hey, it's good. Very, yeah, as Tara said, if it's very short, very vague, kind of try to if you don't want to confront them, at least just say, hey, is there something going on? I know I just sometimes wanted someone to say, are you okay? And me not to have to say anything.
Right.
That is a big deal to someone going through domestic violence. Sometimes they just need a little bit of that like opening because they just are so tired of talking about it.
Mhm. Absolutely. And some of the things the community can do to help that, faith leaders and things, you can watch for those signs as well. But, the community can help play a role in this, creating safe spaces, right? And encouraging them to make their OBGYN appointments.
Yeah.
Maybe helping them get into certain programs like WIC or pregnancy centers that can help, you know if you can get somebody, let's say, involved maybe in a pregnancy center just to have a checkup or get some pregnancy supplies, they might there be able to disclose the abuse where they feel within their circle of friends or family. They might be able to do that in that kind of setting and feel secure.
Absolutely.
So you can encourage that without having to get into the middle as well,
Absolutely.
right?
Um, Even in the bathrooms of OBGYN offices, we know as pregnant women we have to pee for every appointment. So put stuff up in the bathroom. Put domestic violence organizations, different resources, so that if they don't feel comfortable in that appointment coming to you, at least when they're in that bathroom in their own time, because their partner's not going to be in the bathroom with them, that they're able to take picture something, pull something, put it in their pocket, so that at least and even because even if it's in the waiting room, our partner's going to be with us in the waiting room. But if it's in that bathroom where they think they're just going in there at that regular routine, because we do, they make us do it every time, that might be a good way.
Yeah, I even saw in the OBGYN, uh, when my last time I was pregnant, which, wasn't too long ago, but like 10 or about 15 years ago. Um, somebody had the staff had posted in a piece of paper with little tear off tabs in there to the crisis center that if you're being abused and pregnant, you need safety. And they were in the women's bathrooms in all the stalls. So I thought that was
That's
incredible.
that's incredible.
So
That's
I
a
encourage that.
yeah, yes. I know that would make a difference because again, it's a private area. It's a private area.
Right. So definitely OBGYNs, nursing, everybody out there, if you see any signs, definitely refer to their local domestic violence partners that you have that help provide in those areas. And also things that you can do in your offices is keep discreet little hotline cards in exam rooms and bathrooms and stuff. So absolutely.
Absolutely.
So, anything else, Amanda, that we want to encourage as we wrap this up?
I just encourage you if you are in your pregnancy and someone's hurting you, please, please, please get help. I know that you feel trapped. I know that you feel vulnerable right now, but there's people out there that will help you and guide you. You and your baby don't deserve this, and you don't deserve a future of this continuance, because as Tara said, this is something that they do to keep you trapped. And you deserve to have a life, to raise your child in a healthy and safe environment. And please reach out if you feel that you need that help now. We have a hotline that will be in the comments, that will be in the description. Please, please, please reach out. Again, this is the most vulnerable time, and you deserve to be safe, and so does your unborn child.
Absolutely. And I'll add by saying that um, my family and myself personally know how deadly pregnancy can turn at the loss of our daughter and granddaughter. And believe me, you don't want to spend every holiday and every birthday at a graveside. You don't want that. You don't want to spend every year thinking about the child you miscarried and what they would look like. So get help while you can, and and find safety. Absolutely. So so we're going to wrap up this episode. I want to thank everyone for being here. So just a few things. We are definitely having a fundraiser, our pizza kit fundraiser with Little Caesars from June 6th. You can support BTSADV by purchasing a pizza kit, or even having the pizza, a correct Amanda pick up with a code as
Yes,
well.
there's promo codes that you can use in store, and then you're also able to have it sent directly to your home. So it
Yeah.
just depends how fast you want to get it, I guess.
Yeah. So, and I will encourage you, we've done this for several years. And so I know personally, I live in Texas, and in June and July, it gets hot. And one year, my delivery came in a box, and it was 120-degree weather, and I couldn't get to it for 6 hours on my porch. And let me tell you, it was still frozen solid. They pack that unbelievably well with dry ice and everything. So it will stand up. And if you order it and have it to your home, there's a particular kit that I love to get with the grandkids, where they can make their own pizza, their own little personal pizza. The kids love it. And you can even order their crazy bread delivered, and they have cookie dough, which is fabulous. I one year sent that to all the employees, the cookie dough, because it's all ready. You just pop it in the
Scoop it
oven.
on it. Yeah.
It's great. So, but of course, if you have a local Little Caesars, use our code and help support our programs here. Share your link, the link with friends and family to help fundraise on this. It will start June 6th and run through July 6th. So grab a pizza and enjoy a movie and help fight domestic violence and break the silence. Definitely. And also, again, just to encourage another little thing on our Run for Her, the registration is now open. We're thrilled to announce that registration.
Absolutely.
runforherchallenge.com. It's run with the number 4, herchallenge.com. Check out that website. We start July 1st, this virtual run. It'll run through the whole month of July. It brings survivors, supporters, advocates together all across the country. You can walk, run, your treadmill, you can exercise, whatever. Like I said, we have a rowing team that is going to row. So bike, I think we have some people who are looking to bike during this as well. Definitely register, sign up, help raise some funds for those that we've lost. Definitely for those who are still in abusive relationship. And if you're a survivor, run for yourself, right?
Yeah.
Whether you're running solo or with a team, your miles are going to matter. So there will be links below to register, join and create a team if you want. And don't forget to get your free starter pack from Fight Camp with your 45-day membership. So visit our websites for that. We thank you for watching this episode, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of Through the Eyes of Survivors. My name is Tara Woodlee, and I am the president of Break the Silence Against Domestic Violence, an organization that gives survivors and their families, and the families that have lost loved ones to domestic violence, access to a community that understands the journey that they're facing. We hope this episode impacts you, and hopefully you want to learn more about the topic. If it is helping you in some way, let us know in the comments below. We love your feedback. Also, make sure to click the subscribe button below and the bell right next to it so that you can get notified the next time an episode premieres. We hope you will see us in the next episode. And